When Angel Reese stepped onto the Victoria's Secret runway, she thought she was entering a new chapter, a moment that would redefine confidence, empowerment, and what it meant to be a modern female athlete. The crowd was dazzling, the cameras endless, and for a fleeting moment, she looked like she had conquered yet another stage. But before the applause could fade, the internet turned that celebration into chaos. What should have been a moment of liberation instead became the biggest PR nightmare of her young career, one that would test her credibility and her entire public identity. Within hours, clips of her catwalk spread across TikTok, Instagram, and X. At first, it looked like admiration. The comment sections were filled with praise for her poise and power. But soon the tone shifted. Viewers began stitching her runway clips with older footage of Angel at press conferences, tearfully asking to stop being sexualized. Those words, "Stop sexualizing me," once a rallying cry for respect, now reappeared next to videos of her walking the runway in lingerie. And the contrast was brutal. The same internet that had once called her brave now labeled her a hypocrite. For Angel, it was like reliving every criticism she had ever faced, magnified 1,000 times. The backlash wasn't just about a photo shoot, it became a referendum on her authenticity. Fans who had defended her through the highs of LSU and the start of her WNBA career now questioned what she really stood for. Was this empowerment, or attention-seeking? Was it evolution, or contradiction? Every outlet had a take, and every social media feed seemed determined to turn her into either a villain or a meme. And yet, this wasn't the first time Angel Reese found herself in the middle of controversy. Her journey from college stardom to professional basketball had always walked a fine line between confidence and confrontation. She had been hailed as the Bayou Barbie, a symbol of Black excellence, feminine power, and unapologetic swagger. She had built her brand around standing up to double standards, speaking openly about being misunderstood and misrepresented. When she cried in press conferences, fans cried with her. When she clapped back at critics, they applauded her courage. But this time, the applause was gone. The outrage wasn't only coming from haters. It came from her own base, the people who had rooted for her to break through barriers. One fan wrote, "We believed her when she said she didn't want to be objectified, but now she's doing the exact thing she fought against." Others argued that empowerment means owning your image, not contradicting your message. Suddenly, the public wasn't seeing a confident woman embracing her femininity, they were seeing someone struggling to control her narrative. Former athletes and sports commentators weighed in, too. Some defended her, saying she was allowed to evolve, that women shouldn't be boxed into a single version of empowerment. Others weren't as forgiving. They pointed out that you can't cry victim one day and sell confidence the next without facing questions. The harshest critics said this wasn't about gender at all, it was about consistency. "You can't demand respect and then undermine your own message," one analyst said. "That's not empowerment. That's confusion." What made things worse was that this scandal reignited other controversies surrounding Angel. Old allegations resurfaced, including accusations that she had taken credit for a viral TikTok dance called Mabounce, originally created by another content creator. It was the kind of online drama that could have faded quietly, but with the Victoria's Secret backlash dominating the headlines, everything became connected. To her detractors, it all painted a single picture, an athlete too focused on clout to see how her actions were eroding her credibility. By the end of the week, Angel Reese's name was everywhere for all the wrong reasons. Twitter threads mocked her contradictions. TikToks re-edit her emotional speeches beside her runway strut. The phrase "pick a lane" became a trending insult. Even sports talk shows, which once praised her leadership and marketability, now used her as an example of how quickly fame can backfire. It wasn't about her talent anymore, it was about her choices. And those choices had consequences. For months, Angel had been one of the WNBA's most recognizable stars, a personality who brought mainstream attention to the league. But now, that visibility turned into a spotlight she couldn't escape. Brands that once lined up to work with her began to quietly step back. Reporters stopped asking about her game and instead questioned her reputation. Fans who had defended her confidence now called it arrogance. The same energy that once made her magnetic was being reinterpreted as manipulation. Her social media, once a stream of support and adoration, became a war zone of memes, sarcasm, and mockery. "This isn't confidence anymore," one fan wrote under her latest post. "It's desperation for relevance." Even her supporters began to fade away. YouTubers and podcasters who used to praise her every move stopped mentioning her name, not out of malice, but exhaustion. Angel Reese, once the main character of women's basketball culture, was suddenly irrelevant. And that's the most dangerous thing that can happen in today's world, not to be hated, but to be ignored. The silence around her wasn't peace. It was indifference. The WNBA moved on, spotlighting players like Caitlin Clark and Juju Watkins, whose careers embodied focus, consistency, and credibility. Meanwhile, Angel's name became shorthand for self-inflicted downfall. But perhaps the most tragic part of this entire saga is that Angel Reese's fall wasn't caused by her talent or even by one bad decision. It was caused by the widening gap between who she said she was and what she showed the world. Confidence without consistency became contradiction. Empowerment without authenticity became performance. And in an era where fans can sense insincerity instantly, no PR statement or motivational caption could fix that. What made Angel so special in the beginning was that she seemed real, raw, emotional, unfiltered. But as the contradictions grew, that rawness started feeling rehearsed. Fans stopped seeing a woman fighting the system and started seeing someone who built her fame on outrage. The very thing that made her famous, her defiance, had turned into her biggest liability. As the dust settled, her Victoria's Secret appearance wasn't remembered as a breakthrough, but as a cautionary tale. A reminder of how quickly the internet can turn admiration into ridicule. A reminder that in today's culture, empowerment isn't just about what you say, it's about what you live. Angel Reese's story isn't over. She's still young, talented, and capable of redemption. But rebuilding trust takes more than statements or photo shoots. It takes humility. It takes reflection. It takes the courage to admit when you've lost your way. Whether she learns from this or continues to chase validation will determine what comes next, not for her brand, but for her legacy. Because in the end, Angel's downfall wasn't written by her critics. It was written by her choices. And the hardest part about fame is realizing that the same spotlight that makes you shine can also burn you, if you forget who you are. So what do you think? Was Angel Reese unfairly targeted by double standards, or did she bring the backlash on herself? Has the internet gone too far, or did it simply expose a contradiction she couldn't hide? Let us know in the comments, and if you believe in holding power, fame, and authenticity to the same standard, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell for more stories that go beyond the headlines.